And So I Roar by Abi Dare is the sequel to her 2020 novel The Girl with the Louding Voice. If you're watching this hoping to understand if you need to read that novel first, the answer is yes, for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's just an excellent novel and you should read it anyway. And secondly, it provides a past for the characters in this novel. Relationships exist at the start of this novel, and while they're easy to identify, there is a level of understanding for why those relationships exist that will enhance your experience. And if you're watching this video asking yourself if you will like this novel, I simply ask you the question: did you enjoy The Girl with the Louding Voice? Because this novel is every bit as good as her last novel. Lovers of The Girl with the Louding Voice will not be disappointed with And So I Roar. However, I guess the flip side to that is, if you didn't get along with Dare's first novel, while I would question how you could possibly have come to that opinion, And So I Roar is not so different to The Girl with the Louding Voice as to change your mind. Thematically, Dare has added themes of climate change and genital and female genital mutilation to the story. And you could definitely say that The Girl with the Louding Voice is about the importance and struggles for girls to get educated in Nigeria. Dare has maybe expanded on that, showing us that it is not just one girl who dreams of education and having a voice, a louding voice, but several young women who all have dreams and aspirations, and they're not just to be educated. This novel is demonstrating that it is important for women to have a path and to be able to dream. And So I Roar is not just a continuation of the same book. It continues to add to the conversation and breadth of topics started in The Girl with the Louding Voice, but it adds to the themes. And it is such a good name for a sequel. Adani has her louding voice, and so she will roar. And doesn't that just sound empowering? And just like The Girl with the Louding Voice, there are great moments of triumph and empowerment in this novel, but there are also moments of deep tragedy, sadness, and just horrible obstacles for Adani and Tia to overcome. It's certainly not one of those fluffy feel-good novels. It is a very dark book. Set moments after the end of The Girl with the Louding Voice, Adani is 24 hours away from finally going to school when men from her village enter Miss Tia's house and request she returns to face charges of murder. Charges that could very well lead to Adani not just missing out on the scholarship she has gained and hence the education and voice she won in her previous novel, but also forfeiting her life. We know these charges are false, but Dare provides insight into the thinking when she replays a story about a woman who, after her husband dies of high blood pressure, was charged with poisoning him. When misfortune falls, a woman must be blamed. And then, as we later learn, when a woman is on trial, it is a man who must speak for her. And also, he gets to enjoy a chicken stew before passing judgment on his wife, sister, daughter, or property. But as much as Adani is a central and important character to this novel, who is a driver of the plot, this is really a book about Miss Tia, her marriage, her past, her secrets, her relationship with her mother. And as part of her story, we gain an understanding as to why she was so keen to help Adani in the last book. While Adani is young, poor, and from the country, Tia is an adult, wealthy, and from Lagos. Adani is disadvantaged, Tia is privileged. But they are both women, and they both fight the patriarchy in this novel. And this setup makes the novel both intersectional and very specific. There are specific societal expectations and disadvantages related to being a woman. And while sometimes money and status gets around these issues, more often than not, it doesn't. More often than not, Tia is powerless to help Adani with anything other than her quick thinking or her wits. Nonetheless, it is Adani on trial and not Tia. This novel all crashes together in a really exhilarating plot, and Dare sets it all up for a male saviour. Actually, she sets it all up for multiple male saviours. But of course, that would really undermine the feminist message in this novel. At the same time, Dare makes it almost impossible for the women to save themselves, because every time they resolve one issue, the resolution creates another problem, and there is something almost a little bit Emily Davison about the solution that she comes up with for her plot. And this is where I think Nigerian novels in general are are at their most interesting, because it is easy for us Western readers to dismiss them as far away and not relevant for us. Certainly the specifics of what Dare is discussing is very Nigerian, but take a step back and it's very general. It applies to the global north as much as it applies to the global south. The men are convinced that the lack of rain is due to the behaviour of the women. But Adani and Tia understand about global warming, deforestation, and they understand about the chiefs selling their lands to mining companies and the impact that has, and they try to explain global warming to the chiefs. But they are not men trained in science. These are the decision makers, and yet they are not convinced. And the similarities between Adani and, say, Greta Thunberg are obvious. They are preaching to the powerful, the ignorant, and the stupid. We can take Adani's story and go even more general and look at an activist fighting for social change. We can look at how the powers involved in running our society are self-serving and corrupt and don't have the best interests of the disadvantaged people at heart. Or we can look at the differences, the ways society treats Tia and Adani due to their wealth, or the way the Nigerian society treats women, and we can be critical about our own society for the very same things. I love Nigerian novels because the authors are not brainwashed into thinking that their ways of doing things are normal. There is no smokes and mirrors. There is no thinking it's fair. Corruption is rampant, and they call it out. And when you really look at it, we're not so different. It's just that Nigerians don't feel the need to hide what they're doing. They don't feel the need to be accountable to it. Not only has Dare written a novel with excellent characters, thoughtful themes, and an exciting plot, I feel like she sees all my discontents with the society that I have lived in. And I don't think she's ever been to Australia. I am certainly not a 14-year-old black girl striving for education from the bush and living in Nigeria. And So I Roar is a novel that I think really confirms a truly great literary talent. This is not just a fantastic book. This will be in one of my top 5 books of the year. This is everything that I love in a novel done exceptionally well. It is a perfectly balanced novel with excellent characters, themes, and plot running through it. It is good storytelling. It is good brain food. It is entertaining and it is emotional. I would like to thank my Patreons for all their wonderful support. If you would like to support this channel and read some wonderful books with me, please consider signing up to my Patreon. And if you just like hearing about books from around the globe, books like this one, please make sure you subscribe and like this video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.